Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this presentation in the MRH Black History Month Speaker Series. We do truly regret that we are unable to present our annual Black History Month dinner on campus this year. It's so very important to the district that we provide an outlet for the entire community to participate, not just students and staff. Of course, there are virtual ways of keeping the fire burning, and this is one of them. So it is my great pleasure to introduce you to Jeffrey Blair. He is the founder and owner of EyeSeeMe African American Bookstore. That's I as in E-Y-E, by the way. Let me show you something here. If the name sounds familiar, folks, it's because Maplewood Richmond Heights Schools PTO groups have partnered with EyeSeeMe for several years now for a number of book fairs and other events. EyeSeeMe is unique in many respects, but I'm going to let Mr. Blair explain about that. So thank you very much once again for being here, Mr. Blair.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Those who are at least somewhat familiar with your story might think you have a Harvard MBA and you're headquartered in Manhattan, you got 50 employees, but that's not really the case, is it? Your beginnings are more humble than that.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, I'm good. The branding's working, so that's good. I'm glad that's the. No, I'm the co-owner. Myself and my wife started EyeSeeMe bookstore in 2015. We opened a brick and mortar store in 2015 in University City, and actually the slide you showed had our original address, but since then we've actually moved down the street. So our address is now 6951 Olive Boulevard. And we had moved because we actually was starting to grow, and we needed more space for more inventory, but also to do like programming, like author visits and tutoring and different other programs around literature and culture and history.
Give me the timeline here. When did this this concept first come to mind, and when did you get it off the ground?
Yeah, so the concept really started as just a tool for us in our household, in our family. It wasn't a business plan, anything like that. But with our children, we have 4 children, and they're all like in undergrad and graduate school now. But at the time when they were like in elementary school, we just found it incredibly difficult trying to find materials that sort of reflected their history, our history, their beauty, a celebration of their Black skin and their kinky hair and contribution to African American society. It wasn't out there like that. It was very difficult. And so what we did is that we just would spend a lot of time just going out there trying to find posters and books and all types of topics. A lot of times, if you do a search like, African American books, most of the things that will come up about civil rights. So you're getting Martin Luther King, you get Rosa Parks, things like that. That's fine, that's good. There's no problem with that. But there's so many other dimensions that we come in. So like, we'll be in science class, or the children will be in science class, and just what are African American contributions in science? Not just during February, but just understanding the significant contributions all through the history of this country. And so we did that, and because we really wanted our children to have a firm appreciation about themselves, about their history and legacy, and also which feeds into their potential within their own mind about what they could do, what areas could they go into, which is any, right? So she started early with that. So that's how the concept started. The idea is that we wanted our children to see themselves in the literature that they were consuming. What we realized along the way, and just by the way, they did very well in school, always in the tops of their class. It's like once they had that foundation that which speaks to their identity, then they were self-motivated about learning. And again, they did very well. Got scholarships and all these various things, all for the academic career. So along the way, we would get questions from teachers and from other parents who are having some of the same difficulties and challenges. What it is, and we told them that we really started with that foundation of being able to see yourself. Representation does matter, and if you can sort of see and imagine yourself, the sky's the limit. Then you can sort of put the work behind to do that. So that's how it started. And then eventually we ended up opening up the bookstore just so we could have, let's help other parents, let's help school districts and teachers and classrooms who may be looking to. I see there's a value in adding multicultural books to my classroom or to my curriculum or to my house or my home library in my child's life, but I'm not sure how to do that. and having to go to all these different sources to find and search and look, and just don't have the time or resource and know how to do that. So we wanted to sort of take that out of it and have like sort of one-stop shop to be a resource, for schools and parents so that they can find the books that they need to make sure that all children can see themselves in the books that they read.
Tell us about what your operating model looked like in the beginning versus what it has now had to morph into.
Yeah, the beginning. So at our original store, we started out along the way. My wife actually wrote a couple of books because we couldn't find certain topics that we wanted to teach our own children. So she wrote a couple of children's books, and we started out with our homemade products. We even created a card game, to help children sort of put history not flatly, but see how one thing cause and effect, to the other. It's called a timeline game that we would do. So we started out with like our products and then some other products too. But then we started to like research that, hey, why reinvent the wheel? We spent a lot of time going to all the publishers, going through their hundreds of thousands of offerings and trying to, oh, here's a good one. Oh, here's a good one. And started to add to the collection, add to the collection, add to the collection. So in our original store, we probably had somewhere under 1,000 titles, let's say. But shortly, as we continue to do this, that's what my wife does, like almost 24/7, searching to find books. And also, by the way, we say independent authors too, added to a collection as well. And there's some fantastic independent authors out there, and especially local authors that we really connected with and had them bring their products into our store as well. And now we moved into this new store, which inventory has grown to like maybe 4,000 titles, 5,000, something like that. So it's grown significantly. So our model at that point was really an independent bookstore. We at that point we kind of had some options, but we wanted to have a space. A space we didn't want to have just where you just come pick up your book and go, but a space we can kind of like really just talk about the importance of this, share information, and just have an experience really. And we're glad we went that route because we've seen it and we've heard people report back to us when they come into the store and they look around and every book on the shelf reflects them in some way or other. It has a different experience, It's just a great experience. So that's the model. So out of that, then we gained relationships with schools, including Maplewood, and we did book fair. So we go out and do book fair. We actually set up, bring books out to the book fair. Children and parents can browse the book fair and purchase books right there in the spot. So those are the main avenues coming into the bookstore or going out to the book fair. And then we did website. We had a website always in the beginning, but that usually only accounts maybe 10-15% of our revenue coming in. With COVID, which was just, when everything started, it was like everybody else, it was just totally devastating. We had to really figure a way out of how we're going to do this. Now it's sort of pivoted so that we're pretty much sort of flipped in a way where the majority of our revenue is coming from online. We had to expand our website, expand our social media, just the communication. And we actually, those classrooms that when we move into a larger space, that we have those classrooms for different events. We've kind of turned some of those now into like a fulfillment center. That process of fulfilling an order from online is different than someone walking into the store and buying it off the shelf. And so just there's so many differences into how that model is now. But our store is open. So we still have customers coming in, with social distancing, wearing masks and sanitizing and things like that. But still, the majority of our sales has been online. So it is a different model. But last year, when everything had happened with COVID, we actually reached out to the community, did a GoFundMe page. And because, when it hit, it was like around the March time, and just like almost like now. And this is really one of our busy seasons where we would have Black History Month events. We would have March events for a lot of book fairs. We have our calendar full of book fairs. And overnight, gone, and we're like, whoa, what do we do, And so we reached out, we did a GoFundMe page. And the community came and support. And they came and support the GoFundMe page, but they also came and supported just to make purchases. And we started to do curbside. And people started promoting it out in like nationally. So we started getting sales from like all over. And again, we've always had a website, always had some presence, but this really grew and grew thanks to our customers. You know, they really spread the word. Here's an independent bookstore in our community. We want to make sure that it's not shut down. They provide a valuable resource and did everything that they could. And we grew. We're just immensely indebted, you know, to the community. And so glad that, you know, our vision at the beginning was to be an asset and a resource to the community. And I'm glad that you know, that it actually fit as reciprocal, you know, in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you at the point now where authors and publishers are seeking you out before you even know who they are?
That's exactly right. We've got a lot of authors, and actually we have this month, we have a couple of authors that we're going to be doing interviews with, virtual like book signings with them as well, and them reaching out to us. We've had a lot of corporations actually too, especially after last year with the untimely death of George Floyd and all the events that happened after that. You know, there was this awareness of people wanting to know more about race and racism. You know, how can this still be in this country? And so, you know, all the protests that came out, but also it wasn't just the protests that we saw. We saw also people came demanding books, and so we saw a surge in sales. So much so that we had to hire people to help meet that fulfillment. And so so out of that, whether it's individuals, whether it's even corporations saying, hey, we want to support Black businesses, or we have an initiative that we want to promote more Black literature. We want to use you know, as supporting Black businesses. Just we were seeing so much attention, and so we're so thankful for it. We're so glad that, you know, again, we've been talking about the importance of diverse literature. You know, along the way, our focus, as I told, was on our children. No business was solving a problem that we were seeing with our children. And then we sort of expanded out to friends and family, and we opened a business, again, specifically making sure that we fill that gap for African-American children specifically can see themselves in the books that they read. But along the way, we've learned a couple things. One is there are other groups that also are not represented, you know, necessarily in mainstream. And so we started to provide books for like Native Americans, Latin Americans, Muslim, just all different types of groups that may not, again, get a lot of representation in mainstream literature. And that's one. And so we started to do that. The other thing that we realized is that we've got a lot of interest from non-African Americans wanting access to these books for themselves and for their children, because they wanted to make sure that their children don't have the stereotypes of African Americans. So the more non-African Americans can see positive representation of African Americans in literature, in history, in contributions, then there's no more this sort of otherism or the stereotype, and they can kind of be exposed to that as well. So that's a big part of our business too. And so through all of that, again, in this time, I think we were just at the right place at the right time, when, as we as a nation are really trying to just, you know, fix this problem, trying to make sure that representation, as well as debunking all the stereotypes that may be out there, gets addressed, and we can be a resource for that.
How does EyeSeeMe evolve from here?
Great. You know, that's funny. That's a question I had yesterday and the day before. So I think it's one of those things that the universe is saying you got to start thinking about ahead. And we are. We have been. Interesting enough, just before COVID, one of our initiatives we were working on, like our 5-year plan, was like by this year that we would duplicate and have EyeSeeMe in other cities, because we've had interest in doing that. With COVID, it was sort of like, you know, that kind of shut that plan down, because, you know, we're not trying to do that right now. So in our 5-year plan, definitely we will go back to that. But right now, we're trying to kind of optimize this model that we have. We're in store, but also the fulfillment process, updating our website to make it even easier for customers to be able to find the books that they need, staying in communication with them. It's just optimizing our process is one thing that we want to do. One of the things that we do, a product that we're going to continue to expand, is our book subscription service, which during the pandemic came in very valuable to our customers, in that, you know, they feel comfortable coming out to the stores and all those various things, yet and still, one of the things that we've always pushed is building your home library. As the research shows, the number one predictor of academic success is number of books in the home. Right? That's over socioeconomic, that's over your parents' academic achievement. number of books in your home directly correlated to academic success. So we're always pushing that. And that was even before COVID. But with COVID, the idea of the service that we provide, where you can go to our site, just, sign up to the level that you want, whether it's, baby board books or picture books, elementary, middle, high school. And then every month you get a box, EyeSeeMe box with 2 books and usually some other, literature or something else in there as well, so they can build their home library. So that's been growing. We want to continue to expand that and offer more complexity, more like genre-based, or even adults have been asking for that as well. So that's something definitely we will expand. In addition to partnering with schools continually to see where we can fit in, where we can add value, as well as I mentioned before, corporations as well who are reaching out and trying to see, how can they also contribute to the community. And so just making some more of those partnerships.
What's the website and the phone number?
On the website, www.eyeseeme.com, and that's EYESEEME.com, EyeSeeMe.com. And phone number you can reach us is 314-349-1122. 314-349-1122.
We wish you continued success. Mr. Blair, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you for
You
having
take
me.
care.
All right, take care.